Hi guys, I've had a few comments after I posted up some of my junk journals with latex being placed in embossing folders as a journal cover. One of the most important questions that has been raised: what is latex rubber? Well, the product that I am using is called latex rubber. It will create long-lasting moulds. It's ready to use, easy and fast, thin enough to seek detail and thick enough for durability. It's from Woodland Scenics. It's made in the USA. If I give you the instructions, it says apply a thin layer onto desired surface with a paintbrush. Latex rubber becomes pale yellow and slightly translucent when dry. That's approximately 30 minutes. Apply a minimum of 3 layers. Let each layer dry thoroughly. Clean paintbrush between coats with warm soapy water. For a stronger mould, place a strip of gauze between layers. To release mould, peel away from the surface carefully. Well, all in all, I'm very lucky. I have a model shop, and this product tends to be used for railway enthusiasts where they're making piece of scenery in the background, moulds, they're getting rocks, etc. So a model shop is where I make this purchase, which fortunately for me is in the next town. But you can buy the product on Amazon, I'm sure, and if that be the case, then I'm sure it's accessible to all. But I apologise, for me, I fortunately can get this off the shelf at a particular shop not far away from me. It is expensive, it is to me. I'm in the UK, it cost me £18.50 for this 16 fluid ounce tub. But hopefully you'll be able to look this product up on the internet. So what we got here, well, I've had a few comments and we're going to make some improvements. So these are from the latex moulds from the embossing folders, but how on earth do you go about it? What is the process? These have been done just purely the latex placed into the mould without any, they say gauze on there. I'm going to attempt to do some cheesecloth. It was one of the suggestions. And number 2, these are just as the product is. You can see it's dried a pale yellow. And a few things we want to go is use a bit of cheesecloth, and that way we've got some more durability. When I done my first examples, I just basically glued the finished product onto cotton and just used some white glue for that perspective. But if we put some gauze or cheesecloth inside, it's going to be much more durable straight away. And how about adding a bit of colour? I painted mine, and that's how I got my journal covers, but why don't we just apply some acrylic paint straight into the latex and then spread it into our embossing folders? Now, because this product can be washed with soapy water, I think that personally I don't see any damage being done to my embossing folders. But you have to use your own personal, you have to think about it. I would be inclined to use an embossing folder that naturally you're not over enthusiastic about. I would stick to one that's got a large quantity of pattern. I've been raised on the concept of if we could actually cut into the latex and use the finish, like I've got some hearts here, which I'll just get to. If we can cut around those and use them as embellishments, because obviously, as I showed before, these are really stretchy. I am going to point out I've also had a comment as a warning. Not everybody is going to be able to find latex. Obviously there are people out there that are allergic to latex, and that is a really good valid point. So if you are going to be making these, you might want to seal them in advance, like I use some Mod Podge Glossy. Anything that will actually give it a seal, so you're not in a position where somebody who's going to be allergic is actually going to come straight in contact with the latex. Anyway, without any further ado, let's have a little go. So I've got my latex. Now it says I used just some cheap paint brushes to begin with, but fortunately then I had a look in my cupboard and I have got one of these modelling tools as well. But anything will do. You may need a little, like in my case, an old credit card here. That's great for scraping the product down because you don't necessarily want the product pretty much everywhere, nice and smooth if you are going to actually do some printing with it. Not printing, I am thinking along the concept that some of this you could actually, I've just got so many ideas, that's what's going on in my head, that we could actually use this and do some printing, because that is another thing that you can use some of these embossing folders for once you've got a latex mould. But anyway, I was more thinking about putting the latex in and scraping it down. So let's get some acrylic paint. Let's get a little container and let's crack on. Now I've just got this blue acrylic here, just a little container lid. I'm just going to apply a little bit of paint. Now I haven't tried this, it's all trial and error, isn't it really? Let's go into our latex rubber. Another suggestion has been maybe using some household silicone. Now I've not actually given that one a go either, and that could be something to consider, but I'm not too sure how that is going to react in our embossing folders. So I'm going to put a lid on that one, because obviously what we don't want is that drying out. And this is, I mean, if it says half an hour and it should be touch dry, then we haven't got a lot of time, and we are adding a different medium here to the product, so I'm not sure how quick or what this will do to affect its drying time. I'm not going to be able to show you the finished product, not on this particular demonstration, but obviously a little bit later on in today it will be nice to do a reveal later on. Okay, I may have applied way too much acrylic paint. I haven't got a clue what the ratio should or shouldn't be, but it is mixing nicely, and that will save us having to paint or decorate this afterwards, because we've already now got the colour in the product, and that should dry wonderfully well. I will find myself, I like this big embossing folder, but I'm going to find a small one. And I'm actually going to place it, you've got the raised sections of the embossing folder, and then you've got the sections that are obviously cut away, that are able, you can fill with the product, and this is where we're going. We're going to go for the ones that aren't actually raised, and we're just going to apply sparingly. Quite a messy process, especially as I am doing this at the kitchen. I would suggest make sure your windows are open if you're doing this in a close proximity, because there is an odour that comes off of this product, and I'm sure a ventilated room would be the ideal situation. I have tried using a heat gun to speed up the process. Like everything, yet again, keep the place ventilated and consider the fact that obviously you start heating, I'm not too sure that the product will take a lot of heat, because I obviously embossed one of my first ones, but yet again it's all about that smell and toxic fumes being placed into the air, and I don't want anybody starting to feel faint or pretty sick using this product, and it doesn't suggest that you should heat it. So yet again, it's just me expanding on the idea. That's just me trying to speed the whole process up. So you can pretty much see what I'm doing here. And now that I've started, really ought to crack on and do another one. So that is our first done and dusted. I'll put that out of our way. I'm going to do another one. This is butterflies, but this time I'll actually go and put a little bit of cheesecloth in. So I'm going to apply the latex first, pretty much like so. No soundtrack here, just me making scrapey noises. If you apply this too thinly, and when it dries, I mean, I actually put in 2 layers. Obviously the product suggests you would take 3 layers, so I took longer than half an hour in my opinion as well to dry. I didn't get but then if you apply it with a paintbrush, you're probably applying it a little bit thinner, and thus it is going to dry a lot quicker, but I think this is going to take maybe 2 to 3 hours, and we're not going to be able to see it turn yellow because we've obviously applied acrylic paint to this. So, but you will know, and say it all becomes very, very tacky. Right, so we've applied that, and let me see, put that to one side, let's get some cheesecloth. Got a little bit here, I think I've got a strip cut off. It's going to have to overlap. Let's just sink that in there this morning. I'm going to use my paintbrush. It's all trial and error. I'm working that into the product, getting it soaked with the latex. Just dabbing that in, and this will make it a lot more robust. And also, this would be nice to think that some of these little thin ones, I was thinking about putting them round the outer edge of our journal covers. I'm also going to look to see if I've got anything, or if I can make a mould like latches at all, because I do like it when people have placed wonderful latches round the side of the spines on the journals. But I try, everything that you see here as a rule has been either gifted to me over a period of time. I've got some wonderful crafting friends, and they are great at passing on items when they finish with them, or I'm a great advocate of second hand and from charity shops or car boot sales. Right, so that is the cheesecloth now soaked into our embossing folder. Right guys, that's just some of those ideas. Ideally I'd wash all of this up straight away, but we're just going to move on and just give a go with a pair of scissors, and let's see if we can cut out one of these hearts as an embellishment, and we'll just see if that also is something. My scissors are not the sharpest in the entire world, but it's cutting nicely. I mean, there's no reason why we can't even put this through a Big Shot or a Cuttlebug and actually do some die cuts from it. So, and obviously you can sew into it. I haven't had the sewing machine out. So far what I've done is just use a needle and thread and hand sewn. But yet again, it will throw up all types of questions on tension. Will it damage the sewing machine? What type of needle? I'd probably use one more industrial, something for denim if I was going to go through this. And you do need the product to be dry, and it will depend on how thick your latex is and how your machine behaves. And yet again, I've got a sewing machine that I use for my mixed media. I don't have an expensive machine, so it's something that I am not as overly concerned. But I don't want you guys using a beautiful electric sewing machine and discovering that you've caused some damage. Right. There we go. What do you think? I've got my little heart there. It now can be tugged, pulled, sewn into, glued on, painted, decorated, so you can use these for little embellishments as well. Well guys, I'd love to hear from you. I will be getting back to you on your comments, but I'm just trying to make as much use as possible of all the things that people have suggested, and hopefully this is a helpful little video. I'll catch up with you soon guys. Bye bye.